So an awful massacre happened on Sunday in Nigeria when several gunmen barricaded inside a Catholic church and opened fire, killing at least 50 was the most recent death toll that we saw. The church was Catholic, but the service was Pentecostal. Nigeria has had a problem with militant Islam, and clashes between Muslim and Christian farmers and herdsmen have become more violent as climate change is dwindling down land and resources in this area. That's just sort of one piece of it that the media is picking up on as a cause. But this was attack in a state called Ondo, which is known as one of the more peaceful states in Nigeria. But details of this attack are especially vile. There are reports of the doors being locked while gunmen shot anyone who moved multiple times. The victims included elderly and children. They also had gunmen stationed outside for anyone who escaped this region. We bring this to you not because we absolutely have a lot of context yet. It's still new. But I think that it's important to not ignore all of the turmoil in the world, not just focused on where there's especially more money or media attention or, on continents that we maybe find more worth looking into, or you know what I'm trying to say, right? It's important to bring discussion to all tragedies, not just the ones that affect us.
Yeah, well said. It's awful, and this is, of course, an area that has had problems for decades with Islamic militants and trying to install Sharia law. I mean, this was premeditated. I mean, obviously, you have people, barricading people inside the church, standing outside the church. If anyone escapes, they're going to shoot them. Really, really awful. I had a co-anchor a number of years ago. Her husband was from Nigeria, and you would never send mail. Like if you sent mail through this massive corruption inside the government, if you would send mail, it would absolutely be picked through and stolen. Like you just didn't send mail. Like if his family wanted to send something, you just didn't do it because you knew the moment it arrived there, it was going to be rifled through and absolutely ransacked. So a country that has been, again, a landmass of Africa has been stepped on by Western imperial powers for generations. Yeah. So, I know that the Western media loves to play it's just climate change. That's why these people are killing people. It's like, no. You're trying to install Sharia law, and you're trying to take over and tell people how they should worship, what they can wear, how they can date, how they can cover women's faces. That's what they're trying to install in this area.
Well, and obviously this is any militant Islamist not supported of Christianity, and this was a Christian church in a place where they didn't want. And so more details will emerge, and we will keep an eye on this story as it unfolds. And it's a bigger tragedy than, the scale of it is really shocking. And, we feel that. We all should feel that.
Michael in our chat says, bingo, Clayton, it's not climate. Yeah, I mean, that's what the West will say. Oh, they're running out of land. Like they're running out of land. And so people are barricading people inside the churches and shoot. No, it's not that. That's like trying to blame the Texas shooting on climate change.
Yes, but if you think about anyone who joins militant Islam or these terrorist groups, right? And you think about how there's like economic pressures that squeeze people to feel like they have no other choice to feed their family or to stay alive or to whatever the case may be, right? And so economic forces and hardship obviously are going to put more pressure and create these more violent regions. And so it's...
Yeah, maybe human-made climate change where you're raping the landscape because you're stepping on all of these people and stealing their oil. And, you have these Western imperial powers, just like what's happening in Syria. I mean, you have American forces literally guarding oil. We're just guarding it. So you don't have access to your own oil. We're literally taking over all of your oil fields so you can't do anything. I mean, the same in Somalia and on and on and on. So I don't know. I see these
But there absolutely is a historic drought, right? Yes. That is man-made, and that will create more war on resources.
Okay.
So I don't know why you're saying that climate change is not. I mean, it's an existential crisis. It's a real crisis of sharing resources. And we have an economic crisis that will disproportionately hurt some people and make it so that some people, when someone is living where you don't even know how you're going to eat or feed your family or not die, and you have to join these gangs or else you will starve or die, right? We all have to take responsibility for participating in an economy that creates these situations for some.
Yes, but it's also very, very convenient for the Western media to ignore the Western support of these Islamic militants. And that's absolutely been the case in Syria. That's been the case in other countries where the West has called like Al-Qaeda moderates and actually given them weapons, have armed Islamist militants and given them weapons, all in an effort to gain control and a foothold in a region, to control oil interests. So the Western media, I think, is quick to like just blame it on climate change.
Right, to pretend. But then that also, it strikes me of a racial component where it's like, look at these people, they're, fighting over resources. We don't have to do that in the West,
because we're raping their land to get our own resources.
Yes. And so, yes, there's a lot about it that's uncomfortable but I mean, obviously climate change will continue to restrict resources and impact certain people in areas harder than others.
Okay. We know this. I just feel like this is where the mess, like these Islamist militants, Boko Haram, rounded up people inside of a church.
Right. And obviously they didn't do this because they're upset about water, right?
No, they did it because they wanted to,
because they want to harm Christians.
Right.
Yes.
So it's not that they didn't have rice. It's that they wanted to kill people. Like that should be, I think, the thing that we talk about here. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website, to stay connected with you for free.
That's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.